Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Alicia Schroeder, and we are here to bring you the latest and greatest health information and motivation to start your week off right. Today we are talking about gut health, and I know I've been teasing about talking about gut health for a while, but I finally landed on the topic. See, the thing about gut health is it's really complicated. It's a pretty new and emerging science. We don't know a whole lot about gut health, and there's some controversy around the role the gut plays in weight and health in general. But what we're finding is that the microbiome is the most interesting part of gut health. I thought we'd cover that today, talk about what you can do so we can have some actionable steps and how the whole thing works. Let's start with the gut-brain axis. There is a huge nerve that goes from your brain to your gut. It's called the vagus nerve. It's like a super highway, a 5-lane highway of information going back and forth. Everyone thinks that they can control their body with their mind, but the reality is our mind is mostly controlled by our gut. So almost 90% of the communication that goes through the vagus nerve is from your gut to your brain, if you can believe it. So that's the importance of knowing about the vagus nerve and its role in the brain-gut axis. The vagus nerve is really important in starting the digestive process. So when we smell food or we taste food, your brain will send a signal from the vagus nerve to the gut to release gastric juices. So if you have a lot of vagus nerve dysfunction, or say you're stuck in a fight or flight, your gut is not going to get that communication, and so your digestion can be off. And if you're not getting the gastric juices to help you digest your food, you're going to end up with bloating and discomfort in your gut when you eat. Sometimes when we have changes in our gut microbiota, which means the community of bacteria in your gut changes, it can actually change the way that your gut and your brain are communicating. And there is some emerging evidence that all of your neurotransmitters, those tiny little chemicals that help your brain communicate, those are created in the gut. So if you have any kind of mental health issues, like with depression, anxiety, it could be coming from your gut. It's also an explanation of why stress causes gastrointestinal problems, because when you have stress, you are falling into that sympathetic nervous system state where you're in a fight or flight, and your body shuts down hydrochloric acid secretion in the stomach. You're not going to get as good of digestion. You're not going to get as much gut motility. And so when you're eating, it's really important to eat in a calm environment, eat slowly, be mindful. This isn't just so that you eat less. It's actually so that you improve your digestion. You're taking your time to chew your food slowly. You're allowing your body its natural state to do digestion. Overall, the vagus nerve is very important in regulating almost every body function we have: our heart rate, our respiratory rate, our stress, and our gastrointestinal system. So it's important to do any kind of vagus nerve reset that you can think of. I've got a handout I can post with this week that may help you. The second thing I want to talk about is the importance of stomach acidity. It is so vital that we have enough acid to be able to digest food. I guess understanding digestion is the first step here. So the first step of digestion is smelling food, making food. It kind of gets those gastric juices going. Then when you eat food, you actually start digesting in your mouth with amylase, which helps digest carbohydrates. Hopefully chewing, mastication helps break down all of that food. And then when it gets to your stomach, you should have a very acidic environment for your stomach to continue the digestion. So by the time that food gets to your small intestine, it's really broken down into tiny little bits, and your small intestine isn't having to finish the digestive process, because your small intestine is not an acidic environment at all. It's a very low acidic environment, and it's allowing the absorption of all these nutrients. Now, if you don't chew your food very well or you don't have an acidic environment in your stomach, what's going to happen is you're going to have whole food particles, undigested food getting into your small intestine, and that is how you end up with SIBO. Because you have a plethora of bacteria that are in the small intestine, and these things are not designed to be doing digestion. The problem with something like SIBO, or we also call it dysbiosis, that's just having an imbalance of the bacteria in the gut, is that it can lead to inflammation, it can lead to malabsorption of certain nutrients that you need, and it can actually lead to destroying the environment for the bacteria themselves because they actually need food. So some of the bacteria in the gut actually make the food for the other bacteria. This main food source for the gut is butyrate. Butyrate is really helpful. It helps all the bacteria have the food that they need. So if you have dysbiosis, you're not going to have as much butyrate and you're not going to have the food to feed the bacteria, and then you end up in this vicious cycle of all of the bacteria not keeping each other in check. It's important to remember we can't just wipe everything out and put everything back. It just doesn't work like that. Our gut is a big, huge battlefield where you have good bacteria, you have bad bacteria, and you just have to keep it in balance to keep them in check. There's no way to get rid of all the quote bad bacteria because they do play a role in the gut. So there's no way you're going to get rid of all of the bad bacteria and have only good bacteria. They both need each other to keep each other in check because any one bacteria can become maladaptive if it's overgrowing. An imbalance of the bacteria can be associated with excess weight gain and obesity. What we need to realize with the gut is that a diversity of bacteria is the most important part. We want to have a plethora of bacteria, and they all play their role in health and wellness. A greater diversity of gut bacteria is associated with better health overall and is associated with better weight management. So I'm going to get a little nerdy here. There are the Firmicutes and the Bacterioides, these two classes of bacteria in the gut. But what we see is that if you have an imbalance in these two groups of bacteria, that it can be associated with obesity. Some studies have suggested that if you have a greater amount of Firmicutes to Bacterioides, that you actually will extract more calories from the food you're eating. And this, I think, is really interesting because you can look at how much people eat and you think, well, I'm eating the same exact amount as she's eating and I'm still gaining weight. Why is that? Well, maybe it's because your gut bacteria is imbalanced and your body's actually extracting more calories from that same amount of food. Some studies have shown that increasing the amount of Akkermansia in the gut improves this balance, and you will have better weight control and hunger satiety signaling if you have more Akkermansia. And what I noticed when I do some GI studies, there's a GI map that we do here, and I do notice that people have undetectable levels of Akkermansia more often than not. So there is a really good probiotic you can try. It's from Pendulum. It's called the GLP-1 probiotic. It just replaces Akkermansia, and then it also includes butyrate to help feed the bacteria. The GLP-1 probiotic from Pendulum is a spore form probiotic that can colonize your gut. So the idea is that you wouldn't have to take it forever, but it would require you eating a diet rich in fiber to give these bacteria the food that they need. There's also an association with lactobacillus and its influence on weight. If you have enough lactobacillus, you will keep in check all of that H. pylori, which is a detrimental bacteria that causes ulcers. It keeps in check your weight. So it's another good one to look for if you're looking for a high quality probiotic. High fiber foods are really important in maintaining your gut microbiota. It's not really popular right now to be into fiber because people associate it with carbohydrates and everyone's doing the low carb diet. What I'm talking about when I'm talking about carbohydrates, fruit, vegetables, legumes, leafy greens, these are the kinds of foods that will improve your gut microbiota. Polyphenol-rich food helps too. So polyphenol-rich foods, think polyphenol color. So any foods with a lot of color in them are going to help your gut microbiota. These include berries, nuts, seeds, olives, green tea, and dark chocolate. Anything really colorful. Then we have probiotic-rich food. This is kefir, yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, and prebiotic food. So prebiotics sets the stage for these bacteria. This is garlic, onions, asparagus, bananas. These are very, very healthy foods that help your microbiota. Now you can try supplements as well. Probiotic supplements that have lactobacillus or Akkermansia. There are also prebiotic supplements on the market and specialized supplements. So if you have any questions about supplements, ask me. I've got a bunch here. I have a lot of ideas. So thanks for joining me today. I think that this was my long way of saying fiber is where it's at, guys. Getting enough fiber in your diet is vital. It's healthy. The studies are abound. There's not one study that says eating fiber is bad for you. There are multiple studies saying that it lowers your cancer risk, lowers your cardiovascular risk, lowers your risk of breast and colon cancer. There are so many reasons to eat fiber. And now we know that we can actually control our weight with fiber because it helps improve our gut microbiota. So as much as I talk about protein and the importance of protein, I really want you to remember that eating a fiber-rich diet with plenty of polyphenols, omega-3s, all of these things, they add up to a very healthy body. And that's our goal. We're not just looking at a number on the scale. We're looking to help you repair your metabolism, improve your digestion, improve your overall health. All right, thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next time.